okay? So today, let's see the first part, yeah? Understand the brand positioning, okay? Developing a brand strategy. Everything starts with what? What did you learn? I know you guys had a marketing course, yeah? Basic marketing. So what we are going to talk here, I will go through quickly because I know you've seen this in your marketing course, which is the segmentation, targeting, especially segmentation and targeting. Maybe you haven't seen positioning, but they are the key first steps. The first question you ask yourself is, who am I talking to? Who am I selling to? Who is my customer? Who is that customer where what I'm offering, I can offer something of value that is better than anybody else? So your brand strategy plan, part 1, starts here. Identify in detail who your customer is, okay? So segmentation, identify and describe meaningfully different groups of customer. So you start there. You look, we have, for example, I have a bakery in Miami. What part of Miami? What is the neighborhood? Yeah, for a startup. So very specific, and we will look at details. Then, okay, well, the moment I know what is my pool of customers, what is the segment that I'm looking at, okay, so now who within that segment I'm going to target. Evaluate segments and decide which segment to serve based on your company's strengths. Remember SWOT? Did you look into SWOT analysis? Strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So while the first step of segmentation, you look at the external world and identify which are the customers you want to target, then targeting means, what is it that I have of value to promise? What is my unique promise of value? Where my strengths and weaknesses deliver, not the weaknesses, my strengths deliver that value to the customer in a superior way than anybody else. That's your target group, okay? And then once you identify, how am I going to communicate this value? How am I going to position myself in the minds of the customer? So develop and implement a chosen image and marketing mix that will create a competitive advantage in the minds and in the hearts of our target market. So positioning is the core of your plan. I will be coming back over and over again about what is your positioning. So when you deliver your brand strategy plan part 1, the main outcome that I will be looking at is if you get your positioning right. And I have very detailed way on how to reach that positioning. So the more specific you are, the better, okay? So just review, I go fast in segmentation because I know you already seen this. There are many ways to segment. Remember, geographic segmentation, demographic, behavioral, psychographic segmentation. I'm not going into the detail on this because you've seen. But please, if you don't remember, review it because as part of your brand strategy plan part 1, I will wanted to see for your target segment, what is the segment? What is the description? Geographic, demographic, behavioral, and psychographic. Okay? Here is an example of how you can have, although you have almost the same segment, the psychographic profile is different, which makes you to have completely different products. So they are describing, here I have an Escalade and an Escalade luxury exteriors, God knows. Both drivers, look at the segment. They own $2 million homes, so they are very rich. They live in the same neighborhood, so geographically they are in the same segment. But the luxury truck driver is a slightly earthier version than the other one. But what is the difference? Why? The Escalade. This driver is about 50 years old, has an MBA from Harvard, plays golf, has a golf club membership, and is very traditional. Keep up with the Jones. It's very traditional. And he talks with his college friends. Now, the Escalade luxury truck, he is 5 years younger, so demographic, okay? He inherited his father's business, so he might or might not have gone to a very upmarket college. He has been working since he was 18. He might or not attend college, and he's still in contact with his high school friends. So, you see the difference? Many of the segmentation is the same, but psychographically, and some of the demographics can be quite different, which gives you a different product. So this is what I want you guys to do for your brand plan. Now, how you target? Remember, the targeting has to be based on what you can offer to your customers that is different than your competitor. Because if what you have in your company is the same, then what is relevant, okay? So you have to find a target that wants the same thing that you have to offer, okay? Evaluate each potential segment for your ability to competitively serve it. So it has to be, here are some characteristics of how you identify this segment, how you know you are doing a good job. You have to be able to pinpoint that segment, yeah? You cannot do a very big description of your segment, but then you go to the market and you cannot identify the person. It has to be unique needs, yeah? They have to have needs that are unique to what you can offer. It has to be accessible, the customer, because sometimes, for example, luxury goods or when you want to do research with ultra high net worth individuals, it's very difficult to access that segment. Yeah, so it's much more expensive. You can access, but it's expensive. So accessibility to the segment is important. It has to be big enough. It cannot be just your neighbor and your family. Okay, it needs to have some level of scale to become a business, and it has to be sustainable. Okay, so you ask yourself all those questions when you are identifying your targets to make sure that it is a valid target. So here are some examples, okay? So of very similar for one product, toothpaste, one product. How can we have so many different toothpastes? That's how they target. People that look for taste. People that look for fresh breath, people that want to have their teeth white, children that needs to protect from cavity, okay? So very specific, very segmented. Now, this is interesting example because we know that there is something that is over-segmentation. There was a period that companies like Procter & Gamble and Unilever had something like this, had soap, toothpaste, whatever they produce, for every single possible taste. That has been proven, and you can look at yourself when you go to the supermarket, that actually disincentivize customers to buy. When they get to the supermarket and there are so many options, they get so confused, say, oh, I don't know, I'm leaving. So there is such a thing as over-segmentation. So you have to be careful with that. Now let's talk about, on all this, the point that is most important. Once you are very clear about your segmentation and who you are targeting, what is your positioning? But before we get there, I want you to understand very well what brand equity is. And that will be a question on your quiz. Okay, so before we get into the positioning, I wanted to make a stop so that we can talk about brand equity. What is exactly brand equity? And not only that, but a customer-based brand equity. And advice here, quiz advice, this is all going to be in your quizzes. So please pay attention carefully, okay? So always from the perspective of the customer. Think about equity. It's the same when you think about your house. What is the equity in your house? That means what's the value behind that your house has been acquiring throughout the time. Is the same with the brand. The value of the brand that resides in the minds and hearts of the customer, okay, explains the value of knowing versus not knowing the brand, okay? So the fact that someone knows your brand in what is the action that knowledge generates versus them not knowing the brand, okay? So involves creating brand equity involves therefore two important aspects: awareness and image. So what you want when you're building your brand, number one, you want people to know. When they go to the supermarket, they look at your brand and say, I know what they are. I know what they are about. So they have awareness and familiarity with the brand. But that is not enough. You want them to have a positive image of your brand. So when they associate, okay, I know that brand, and I know that brand means something good, means something relevant to me, okay? So good, unique brand associations. So two things: your actions, your marketing activities need to drive knowledge, awareness. Therefore, awareness, brand awareness, aided and no-aided brand awareness research is some of the most important metrics that you can have when you are measuring the success of your brand campaigns. And the second is a positive image. So you want your customers to have positive associations, okay? Now, let's use a very, very basic example for you to understand equity, okay? And this is a very basic way to measure. Let's suppose it's your mom's birthday, and your mom loves chocolate, okay? So, and you have to get a gift. You have two options. You go to supermarket, you have a lovely Godiva pack of chocolates, and you have this completely unknown German reason. It must be German because it sounds German. You don't know, okay? So you have those two brands, okay, that you are going to choose from. One, assuming, okay, let's make the assumption. Godiva, you know, and you have a very, and you have a very positive association. Ryzen, you don't even know. Godiva costs $15. Ryzen costs $8. Which one do you buy? Okay? Usually the students respond to me, of course we buy Godiva. Yeah? Inside, why? What is inside your mind that makes you willing to pay much more because it's Godiva? Number one, you recognize Godiva. You know who you are talking about. You have very positive associations of Godiva with quality. Yeah, perceived quality is high. And if you are a chocolate lover yourself, you are loyal to the brand. So all this enables you to pay a premium price. A premium price. So let's say now that it goes up, the price. Would you still pay $5 more and pay $20 for Godiva while the other costs $8? Most of my students would answer, yes, we would still pay more. So Godiva holds up, that is the value, okay? So Godiva low price demand elasticity. What is this? This is important to understand, guys. Low elasticity, yeah? Low price demand elasticity means that a brand can withstand price increases without losing the demand. Exactly what happened here. So the prices can go up and up, And the demand is the loss in demand because of the difference in price is low. So it has low elasticity. A brand with high elasticity is a brand that people buy based on price, okay? And in the moment the price goes up, they will look for an alternative. That is a brand with high elasticity. What you want with your brand is low elasticity. You want the customer to have such a high value to the brand that even if you put your prices up, they will continue to choose you. Obviously, there is a moment that that won't happen. And that's why when we need to put prices up in our day-to-day lives in the office, we always do a price elasticity curve. You wanted to determine what is that point of inversion where, okay, so this is too high and I will start to lose customers a lot. So there is attrition. So very important to understand this concept of the lowest the elasticity, the more inelastic, the better, yeah, for the brand. So what I put there, $12. $12 is the difference between 20 that Godiva costs, the second price increase, and 8. So you are willing to pay $12 more for Godiva because of all that we saw, because you have association of quality. So this is what we call Godiva premium pricing. This is the dream of any business person. You want your product to hold premium pricing, okay? Because you have 12, that is the value of the brand. That is the equity. That $12 additional that the customer is willing to pay because of the image of the brand is the brand equity measured, okay? So when you multiply that value by the sales volume, how much of packs I have, it gives me Godiva brand equity, okay? The scale that I have, plus the difference that customers are willing to pay between my competitors and me is the value of my brand. This is a very simplified methodology, but it gives you the idea of what equity is, okay? And that's what you want to achieve when you build a brand. That is your goal, okay? And there is an exercise, a model that I will give, I put in your materials in your Dropbox in Canvas, where with examples on how you calculate this. Is going to be an Excel spreadsheet. Please look it in the Excel so you see the calculations, because your first quantitative quiz is going to be about this calculation, okay? I hope you understood. So again, just reiterating what we just talked about, defining brand demand elasticity and premium pricing. The strongest the brand equity, the less demand for this brand will vary with changes in prices. That's exactly what I demonstrated with Godiva. The price varied, but people continue to buy. So is low brand elasticity. This means that strong brands have inelastic demands. Inelastic, they don't vary. It's not like an elastic, okay? So keep that in mind. And here I use the example we just saw with Godiva, and I calculate, for you to calculate and get to the brand equity value. So you see there in green, $20, the value, how much the customer would pay, unitarian price, yeah, for the brands that are known, the known brand, minus the price of the generic brand, gives us the premium pricing, which is the $12. And then I multiply that premium pricing by the volumes of sales, 24 million. That is my calculation on brand equity value. Okay? Please look into this, because this is exactly will be your first quiz. Okay? Obviously with different brands. Okay, so Another important concept, when you understand brand equity and what generates brand equity, which is awareness and positive associations, then you needed to see the difference between brand identity and brand image. Okay? Another quiz question. Brand identity is the aspirational way that we marketeers in the company want our brand to be seen. So you are going to invest a lot of money to identify your target, to understand the needs of your target, to create the product that you are able to create with a differentiation, and then you will create a positioning for that will create a brand identity. And you hope that the customer will see your product in that same way. And the way the customer sees is called the brand image. It's the actual way that the customer views the brand. Your goal, if you are a good brand marketeer, is there will be as much overlap as possible. Okay? So this is a very important concept. Now, hopefully with this you are clear about brand equity. Let's now go back to positioning. So we found our segment. Within that segment, we are identifying the target. Now, I needed to identify, okay, so how am I going to communicate to that target? Why am I different? What is my unique proposition of value? Okay, so what is positioning? Is the way that a product is perceived or defined by the target segment. Is the space that your brand occupies that's why position is the position that the brand occupies in the customer mind. Relative, very important, position is relative to something. So it's always relative to the competitors or the similar, something, a different way of using, satisfying that same need, okay? It's not about what the product or service does, okay? It's about the benefit to the target customer. So what is the difference? Okay, so let me remember an example of this. Let's take Starbucks, okay, coffee. So it's not, the position is not about Starbucks offers coffee. That is not the position. The positioning is what is the benefit to the customer. Starbucks gives the best tasting coffee in a wonderful environment where I can meet my friends. You see the difference? The position is not from the point of view of the product, it's from the point of view of the benefit the customer is receiving, okay? And it always includes what is different from the competition. POD, you will see a lot of this term, point of difference. What is the point of difference of your product or service versus your competitors? And this is the reason why the target should believe it. So this is the position. So again, finds a unique spot in the target's mind. So you can find, there are many ways to strategies to define positioning. You can define position based on attributes or benefits like the taste of the coffee, based on use or because we drink coffee in this lovely environment, or based on value or price is the cheapest coffee, based on the competition is the best coffee in the neighborhood. Yeah. And the important thing is where it occupies. So this is another very important concept that you will be asked to create for the brand you choose, okay? The positioning map. So you will you will be asked to look, who are your key competitors? Those that target exactly the same need in the same group of customers. So here you have an example of pizza delivery, yeah? And then what are the dimensions that a customer that likes pizza delivery values? What are the dimensions that they will buy based on? So they will buy based on, is the service slow or fast? And what's the quality of the product? Is the quality high or low? Okay? And then you will look at your set of competitors and put, well, Papa John's is known by the highest quality in the market. However, the service is much slower. Now, Little Caesars is faster. He's probably in the worst position because it's not that fast and the quality is really bad. So that's how the customer, when you do a research, that's what the customer is telling you. So Domino's is very fast but low quality. Pizza Hut is probably in the best position there, against those dimensions. So that's what you will be asked to do for your brand strategy plan. You will choose a brand, you will look at your competitors, the closest competitors, and then what are the key dimensions that a customer chooses, that a customer uses to choose that product. And you will plot within that mind map you and your competitors, and you will see the difference. That will help you to determine your positioning. Papa John's is the highest quality. Domino's seems to be the fastest. Pizza Hut, maybe it is the cheapest. It's something that is not there, the price, okay? So that is your positioning. And here you have examples, 13 positioning examples for you to take a look. Obviously, this material is available for you in your Canvas Dropbox. You can go into more detail on the examples, The classic one is leadership, number one, number two, Avis, that Hertz has been the number one forever. And how does Avis position? They position in relative to Avis, and they said, because we are second in the market, we try harder. So that is it's a genius positioning based on your competitor, okay? So how do you write your positioning statement, okay? What has to be there? Number one, what is your target? Concisely state your target. Number two, what is the category that you belong? Do you belong of delivery pizza is a category. Rental car is a category. Coffee shop is a category. What is your competitive set? The frame of reference with whom you are comparing yourself. What is your point of difference within that competitive set? Points of difference are attributes or benefits consumers strongly associate with the brand, positively evaluate, and do not believe they can find to the same extent with competitors. That's your point of difference. The faster, the cheapest, the best design, the most environmental friendly. Remember that your point of difference needs to be relevant to the customer. Because if the customer couldn't care less about environmentally friendliness, having a point of difference of that is not relevant. They will still go to your competitor that is cheapest, okay? So you have to really, that's why you start with the target. A reason to believe, okay, anybody can go there and say, I am the best, I have the best design, I am the cheapest, whatever you do best. But then you have to complement, I will give you the examples, with why the customer should believe. Is there a research that said that? Who said? Who is a third party that claimed that? Provide a valid, concrete support for that unique and meaningful claim of statement. And what are the other, you can add to your positioning or not, which is your points of parity. So those are attributes shared with all the brands within your competitive set. So let me think about the coffee, no? Everybody that is in a coffee shop has chairs, there are certain things to be a coffee shop that are what we call hygiene factor. If you don't have those benefits, you're not part of, you are not even in the game, okay? So that is your point of parity. Things that every competitor must have to play in that category, okay? So here is how you write. For a target market, you give your brand. Let me go directly to the example. For target, parents with stressful jobs who need to feel their best throughout the day so they can be there for themselves, their families, their careers. This is a target group, but they described the psychographic and the demographic and the need actually in that target group. Perfect. Brand X, yeah, is the brand of prescription anxiety medication. So this is the category. This is the group, the pond that they play at, that offers fewer side effects. Point of difference. Fewer. You see, even the word you are using is comparative. So is the prescription drug that offers fewer side effects. Point of difference. Why? Why should I believe? You're just telling me that there is fewer effects. Why should I believe? Reasons to believe. Because clinical trials showed significant fewer patients, etc., etc., etc. Okay? So this is a very good positioning statement. Okay? So you will be asked to write something similar with this rationale for your brand. So it's all pointing there. Okay? So when you're thinking about your positioning statements, it has to be meaningful, yeah, relevant to your target group. It has to have a really differentiate. It has to have something that a point of difference, credible, reasons to believe. It cannot be something credible to the brand as well that nobody believes. I'm the cheapest, and then they go easily online and find many others that are cheaper. So it has to be credible, and it has something that you can sustain. It's not just a batch of products that you are selling like that. Every single batch of products, or every time you serve the customer, you can offer that. Okay. So, for example, service is a good example. I work for health insurance. Okay. So if I say that I have the best and friendliest service in the market, okay, it cannot be just for a few segments of my customer. I have to be able to do that across the board. Now, I'm a health insurance, and if I come and I say my point of difference is that I offer the best service in terms of travel, it's not credible because it has nothing to do with my brand. Yes? So you have to think of all these elements when you're thinking about your brand. And the position, your position is there. Your statement, what you do difference between meaningful, differentiating, credible, and sustainable. Then another piece within the brand strategy. Remember, we look at the brand prisma. The brand prisma helps you to define all elements. Ask yourself about the key elements that will form the personality of your brand. Okay? Then you define your positioning, how you want it to be seen by the customer that makes you unique, that makes your offer of value unique. And now you need to communicate that, the essence, very shortly. So a brand mantra is a 3 to 5 word phrase that captures the essence or the spirit of the brand. Okay? So it's crisp, simple, and vivid, and it's not a slogan. Sometimes it's used outside of the company, sometimes not. And here there are some examples. And again, in your template for the brand strategy plan, you will be asked to create that. The way they have some helpers to create your brand mantra. For example, Nike. What is the emotional modifier? The emotional modifiers determines how the brand provides benefit. In what ways? It's authentic. Nike is authentic. Disney is fun. McDonald's is fun. Now, what is the descriptive modifier? What is the function? The basic function of the brand. Nike is athletic, Disney is for the family, as it is McDonald's. Now, brand function, what's the nature of the product? Nike's performance, Disney entertainment, and McDonald's is food, the basic. So that helps you to define a brand mantra. Disney is a fun family entertainment. McDonald's is a fun family food. Nike is authentic athletic performance. Okay? It captures the essence of the differentiation of your brand. So you will be asked to do that for your product. And here you have some more examples. Okay, so let's bring all this together, okay, to help you on set the same thing, create all this for your brand. So there is a tool which is the circle, the circle that you can put everything in one place about your brand. So in the external circle, you have on the top the values, the personality, at the bottom the identity, the executional properties. Okay, so if you think about Starbucks, the values are caring, contemporary, thoughtful. And the visual identity is green, and there is the logo of the siren. Okay, so that is the external, the most obvious pieces of your brand. Now, the substantiators, reasons to believe. Why should we believe all that about this Starbucks? Yeah. So because we give, assuming I'm Starbucks, 24-hour training to our baristas. Yeah. So we are caring. We stock options. We have health benefits for your customers. They are thoughtful. Therefore, our service is caring, thoughtful, because we treat well our employees. We have an integrated system, so we have a triple filtrated one. So these are all things that Starbucks does, that they are telling us that you should, because I do that, you should believe that I can offer what I'm telling you I'm offering. What are the points of parity? Remember, points of parity are things that for you to play the game in that category, you have to offer. So you have to be responsibly locally involved. In the case of Starbucks, the category is coffee shops, okay? Fairly priced, relaxing moments, and so forth. You can see there, fairly priced. And then the points of difference. What is it in Starbucks that is different from their competitors? High quality coffee, that's what they put. This is actually from Starbucks brand strategy plan. Yeah, exotic coffee drinks, is friendly service, is convenient, is a rich sensory environment, etc. Okay, and the brand mantra, rich, rewarding coffee experience. Starbucks is not about the coffee. Starbucks is all about the experience. And when we look into more details of the marketing programs that you create to establish, to communicate this brand, you will see how important it is the design of their stores. Yeah, because what they are selling is the experience, and it's not the coffee. Okay. So sometimes your position needs to be updated, and if your brand has been in the market for a long time, or sometimes a new competitor comes in and offers the same thing of what you're offering. So you need to say, oh my God, I needed to improve what I offer or find different points of differences, new points of differences. So what are the cases when positioning needs to be updated? Some of the cases. The target market has a superficial understanding on how the brand relates to its competitors. So maybe after you do the research, you identify that your target group doesn't understand your positioning, or your sales are going down. So clearly your point of difference is not attractive anymore. What I just said, anticipation of opportunities in other market positions, or your competitors challenge existing points of difference or attempt to overcome point of parity. So this is the most common, and this is constant. For example, in our case at Bupa, we are the leader in the international private medical insurance. All our competitors, we launch a product, 6 months later, a year later, they launch the same. So we have to keep constantly renewing our points of difference, and we are constantly on the search to have points of difference that are very difficult to reproduce, that have high barriers of entry. Yeah, I'm sure you saw that. So this happens very common. So you can choose to do nothing. Probably then what happens, your sales team will struggle to continue to sell. You can defend your position. Defend means, for example, I can put my prices down. Yeah, it would be just a defensive and not the best way of dealing. Or I can reposition my brand. So I will find new ways to explore that position in my customer mind. Okay? And here is a position, an example when there is a new market opportunity. Yeah, but I will invite you to look, because this is a wonderful video. So if you go into the material, you will be able to see how Speedo recovered their sales by shifting their positioning. Okay, and it's hard. It's not easy. Okay, so thank you so much. Here with this, we close our class for week 1. Yeah, with the information that you have here, you are fully able to start and finish your part 1 of the brand strategy plan. I sincerely hope by now you have chosen your brand. Yeah. And you know your teammates, and you can start working on the brand strategy plan. Thank you so much, and I see you next week.